Good evening and welcome to the 19th episode of Pop Culture. I'm your host, 24 Eyes. And tonight I got a really great guest. This man is one of the two people that runs Zaid Comics, both the YouTube, the entity, brought you the properties Magic Cop 1 and 2, Lost Pages 1 and 2, the one and only Phil Diaz. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, man?
I, I'm having a pretty good evening. Pretty excited. I've been wanting to get you on for a while. You're a
Yeah,
very, very busy man. So when we had the opportunity, I had to jump on it because you're moving and grooving. You're making projects happen.
thanks, bro. Yeah, we're doing a lot, and it's good to be here. Good to be here. I'm excited to hang out and talk about some stuff.
So we were talking before. You and your brother decided that like one day you were gonna make comic books,
Yeah,
and you did it. You're on your fourth comic book. What does that feel like to like get that far?
it's crazy, man. It is insane because coming from where we started with publishing our own very, very indie stuff back when we first came up with some of these characters, uh, and now to see the product that we're putting out and these stories and how far we've come and grown thanks to everything that's going on right now. It's really, really cool to see. And especially to see readers gravitating towards the work and kind of letting us know which characters they're liking and stuff. In fact, that's how we decided to go and do this new Lost Pages book, focusing on the silhouette, um, because we actually did a poll for the backers of the first book, and they told us that that was their favorite character. So we're like,
Okay.
well, we got to listen to the people that are funding this stuff, and give them what they want. So yeah, this new one is almost all about this character. You get a big bulk. I think it's like 56 pages of just the silhouette story.
Okay.
So
Were you surprised like by which character, or did you guys kind of have a leaning towards which character you thought it might be?
Um, I think I was kind of surprised because during the whole campaign of the first Lost Pages book, we have this character Crimstone, and there's this really cool kind of like dynamic duo. You got this like hot bodybuilder babe who has this imaginary friend who's this crazy bombastic monster of a character, like very very 90s ultra violent. Like you think of the Max,
Okay.
Pit, Lobo. Actually, you could see him in this poster back here. That's him from one of the interior covers of the first book. Everybody was raving about Crimstone. They Clayton Barton and Rob Arnold did a CG deathmatch, which like pitted up
Yeah.
against all these Comicsgate characters, and Crimstone won due to fan votes.
Oh wow.
So I thought that was going to be the top one, but they were second. Crimstone was second, and Silhouette beat Crimstone out just by a little bit. But it was really cool because the Silhouette's a very simple character. I'll show you an image here from the book, the first one. Pretty cool image. He's literally just a silhouette
Just a
of
silhouette.
he's a shadow man, basically. He used to be human. Now he's this supernatural force of justice. So very, very simple to draw. And
It sounds like a good guy, like Freddy Krueger, almost like. Like
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, there's some similarities there. But yeah, he's a very simple character and not a huge amount of detail to the design of the character, and I know a lot of people like that.
yeah.
Um, but I think the story elements and kind of the narrative flow of how the character is laid out in these stories, people really dig that. Harkens back to kind of like Frank Miller, Sin City, similarities to Rorschach from Watchmen. So just stuff that I really love, and stuff that I don't think we're getting anymore. That gritty, crime vigilante story,
So, like, do you have any interest in like true crime? Did you do any like kind of prep to get that kind of feel, or are you more just like sourcing from like comic book materials?
Um, for specifically for the silhouette, he's very much a throwback comic booky character. So like late '80s stuff. So of course did a lot of just all of these characters are influenced by stuff I've already ingested throughout the years of reading comics or stories. Um, but I always learn more about them as I'm writing them or going through the project. So he's digging through a lot of Frank Miller, like some gritty Daredevil stuff. I really love to set my characters apart from each other in the way you read the stories. So in the first book, there's 4 different stories with different characters, and the Silhouette's internal monologue is very much different than another character from the book.
Hmm.
So that was kind of something I wanted through the writing to set these characters apart as well from the different artists that are drawing these stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so you pull a lot of influences. I've heard you say like '80s, '90s. Is that which is your
Mhm.
favorite era? The '80s? Would you say maybe because you guys do lean kind of heavy towards the kind of design, kind of late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, no, I just in pop culture in general, I think 80s is awesome from music to fashion to media and action films or crime television. And then when you get into comics, there's a totally huge variety in what you could be looking at, whether it's like Swamp Thing from the 80s or Watchmen, you know, Frank Miller stuff that he was doing back then. Uh, there's just so much to pull from that decade, and it's very eclectic what was going on back then.
Jim, we have some people in the chat saying what's up. '90s were better. I don't know. I do think the '80s are pretty dope. I think that like the comic book scene was pretty amazing because I was talking to Don Chen. You know, he was professionally producing comic books like 2 years before I was born,
Yeah,
right? Which is just amazing. It's just insane. And then like some of the people he's got to work with and bring up and stuff.
yeah,
But
he's awesome.
the work that he was doing, like you said, there was a variety. Right? He was able to do a lot of parody, and that's I mean, movies and film like in the '80s are some of my favorite stuff because the budgets were still low, right? They still had, but there was like all kinds of like varieties of stories. Like
Yeah,
go back to even like a Stallone, right? There are Stallone movies where he is. There's one where he's a truck driver in a truck driving union. There's one where he's playing soccer in World War II when he's a prisoner of war.
yeah,
There used to be all these great like different kind of variety stories. There's one with him and Dolly Parton down in the South.
yeah. No, I mean, I dig the stuff that came out of the '90s. There's got to be music that's good in every decade. Comic wise, there's some great stuff there too. I know a lot of the spotlight in comics in the '90s has shined on the Image guys, just because what they did was so um, revolutionary and what they created. Um, but I mean, you look back, you go to a comic fan and you tell them, look back, what's your favorite comics from the '90s? Story wise, you're not going to find a lot in the Image that
Hmm.
people can remember story points from Wildcats or Young Bloods and stuff like that. I think Spawn,
No.
Spawn had good stories starting out, a good baseline. Um, the Max's story, I couldn't even tell you what the hell was going on in that comic. It's so out there. I don't even know if Sam Keith knew what the hell was going on in that book. Uh, but my favorite stuff from the '90s is the Lobo stuff that Simon Bisley did, just because the art was so crazy cool, and you had hilarious action-packed stories with that character.
So if you had the opportunity to write like I don't know, let's say like top three characters if you were given like the golden ticket and you were able to write for any mainstream character, like what would be your three characters?
I would write for Lobo and Etrigan, the demon from DC, and I already have a pitch and kind of like plot for the story. So that would be like one story, or like a mini series. That would be super fun. Because I don't think, I mean, they're some of my favorites. I don't think they get enough love currently. Um, Maybe a Hellboy story would be cool. I really like that character too, and kind of you could just throw him in any situation with an enemy really.
Yeah.
But I just think here. Oh, maybe the Shadow. I really like the Shadow.
The Shadow would be pretty dope.
Yeah.
I think that's a character that they could do a lot more with.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
If you were capable of like doing the same thing, but we're adapting like TV products from like the '90s, or like we're gonna take old TV cartoons, like we're gonna get a group of writers. We're taking Saturday morning cartoons from like the '80s and '90s, and we're gonna do book runs. What would your Saturday morning book run look like?
Man, that's a little harder. Uh,
You have to now. I was like thinking which station, Fox, ABC, which
yeah, man.
CBS.
Maybe the Tick. Well, Tick was kind of a comic too, right? I
think
love
so.
the Tick. Very, very wacky, cool. Um, what else? Carmen San Diego would be an interesting. Oh no, you know what it is? I totally forgot about this one. I don't even know if you know what this show is, but it's freaking awesome. It was a '90s cartoon called Mummies Alive. Did you ever see it?
Oh yeah, I did.
Dude, Mummies Alive would be awesome. Let me pull some
Dope.
up.
See, I would like to do like a run of like Biker Mice from Mars. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's classic. I don't think I've ever actually seen that, but I remember everybody talking about it. Yeah, share my screen. This is some Mummies Alive action here. This was about a teenage kid, of course. You have to have the kid. I think his mom worked at a museum, and these mummies come back to life, and they think that this kid is like Ramses reincarnated.
Oh, okay.
So they're his protectors from this evil bad guy named Scarab. I don't see him right now, but yeah. So they look like wrapped up mummies, but then they like kind of like the Power Rangers. They power up and get these cool armored outfits.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I remember. There was like some kind of transformation.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Of course, it's '90s action. You have to have that transformation. No, this would be awesome. And
oh yeah.
I like these characters so much. I actually wanted, or I'm going to be creating kind of a mummy type horror character that we'll do in a couple of years. I'm still developing the character.
You'd be kind of surprised on sometimes the possibility of like uh getting something like this. I have actually found a couple of YouTube channels that pulled up some cartoons that I was like, I didn't even like for whatever reason something went defunct with a production company,
Yeah.
and the stuff's just like floating
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I don't even know who made this, but that would be fun to look into. It's got really cool potential. You know, team of characters. You got the chick, you got the big guy. Kind of this guy Wrath is the smart, like textbook magic guy, and then you have your basic kind of like leader, and the kid. I think it would work. I know they did a toy line. I feel like a lot of people that do remember this remember it for the toys. There was a pretty cool toy line.
I remember the snake guy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
This guy's
remember the
cool.
Ram guy.
This guy's name was Armon, and he had one arm. And then when he would power up, he'd get this really cool like stone arm that would magically appear on him. So that was super strong. Yeah, I'd do that. But like movies that I would want to do into comics, I thought that Demolition Man would make it cool. sequel comic.
Yeah.
I had an idea for that Stallone
Hmm.
movie,
Well,
and then
maybe you pitch that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because Stallone might have the ability to make that happen.
yeah, that's true. So Demolition Man, or what was the other one? I think The Warriors. That'd be a fun,
The
yeah,
Warriors would be dope.
fun comic. The Warriors.
Uh, I would like to. I don't know. I would like to see. I'd like to see. As far as movies, it'd be kind of cool because I'd like to see if someone could kind of pull it off. But I would like to go more towards like the western or some of the truck driver stuff. Like there was like this whole era of movies between like 75 and like 85 of truck driver movies, dude. And it was
Yeah,
like it's a cool. It was like the whole world was different back then. Like you know what I mean? Like it was completely. Yeah, you just had
sure.
radios. You had phones sparsely around the country. Like you were really at no man's land when you were driving around out there. And the whole culture and the way. I mean, like truck drivers like keep this country going, and it's I think it's kind of like something that's not talking about anymore because we've gotten into all this like crazy fantastical stuff in the movies that we've gotten away from like some good like just having some stories. So I
Yeah,
think
and that kind of lends the storytelling aspects very well to comics because you have like this basically traveling hero, right, who's driving
mhm.
across America, and every issue or month you could be having a new adventure in a different location.
I
Kind of
mean,
that wandering character.
yeah, there's a lot of things you could do to with it too. I mean, I don't know a superhero truck driver. I mean, because you could, I mean, he could just be out there. I mean, every location you could just pick, read some news stories or whatever, right? Kind of follow some
Exactly.
true crime
Yeah,
kind of
I mean
stuff, and just every
that's
week.
that kind of cowboy archetype where, or say like Western outlaw, who's just going from town to town fixing problems you'd have back in the day, and like the Western pulp stories.
That's very. Have you? Okay, so something that I would like to see is trying to expand out on some of the YouTubes. A lot of people are building their YouTubes and they're doing like pretty good jobs of it. But
Mm-hmm.
something that some people might consider because they speak multiple languages is that setting up a secondary channel and re-uploading your material and at least having the proper like language captions on it and stuff because it can open you up to a whole different section of the world.
That's interesting. I know a lot of probably like somewhere around last year, there was a group, subsect of CG that were starting to do like Spanish streams, like
Hmm.
strictly Spanish. So you had like Carla, and I don't know if they're not really around that much anymore. Carla, Magua, Centurion, and a few others who spoke their first or second language was Spanish, and they were started to do streams like that. But I don't know if the viewership wasn't there; it kind of fell off, and they kind of probably got busy. I know Carla had a kid too, so yeah,
That'd be interesting. I could see that working out in CG. I mean, it probably would take some time to develop though, and
for
I
sure.
know that there's like it's not just as easy as just going in there. I think there's like some regional stuff, but if you got it set up right, and I'm just saying, the people who have the ability to speak multiple languages or have like wives or husbands that speak a second
Yeah,
language, it's just more marketing, just getting more crowds to the funding.
for sure. Yeah, I think expanding out is really important. You know.
Big thing I want to see. I keep saying it's street teams. I want to see CG street teams. It costs nothing. You guys are already doing promotional work, so you make a couple. Take a graphic or clip something out of that you're already
Hmm.
done. Put it into a poster size format that somebody can print out, and let people go out to their local comic book shops and let people know. You know what I mean? To come find the Indiegogo. Let them know that there's a CG Now website
That's
that
the
you can
thing
see
too.
comics.
So I've I live in Chicago, and we have this pretty big comic shop called Graham Crackers Comics,
Hmm.
and there's it's like a private chain. So there's 12 stores in the state, and I think there's one in Wisconsin. Maybe it stretches over to Indiana a little bit, but they have a lot of stores. And so the cool thing about them is if you're looking for a book, they don't have it in that store, they can contact another store and they'll drive it over and you'll have it like next week. So it's really convenient that way, but they're super mainstream, right? They they're not a mom and pop shop where you could be, because I've done this. I've been like, hey man, look at the Lost Pages with this Simon Bisley cover.
Yeah.
Read this and let me know if you would be able to put this up to sell. I have a giant poster printing machine that I could print posters and put one in the window to advertise for this new book. And they're like, yeah, the cover's awesome. It's very much a mainstream cover. Everybody knows who Simon Bisley is, but it doesn't have Batman in it, so it's going to be really hard to sell to people.
I see. I think okay. This is going to be one of my biggest arguments and something I ran about. I don't think that's true. People, and I've heard a lot of people saying that like the comic book market's dead in this country. I don't believe that's true. What I believe is it's not being served, and it hasn't been served for so long that those people found other interests to spend their time in. But if they were introduced to a product again, if they actually walked back into a comic book shop and instead of finding like all manga, a tiny little section of Marvel and DC books,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of toys, they found like some new product that they could pick up and had a storyline. I think there'd be a whole different thing. It's the same thing. It's my same argument with like professional wrestling right now. WWE doesn't have to do as good of a product because they're making more money than they ever have based off of
Exactly.
their network sales. They've made
Mm-hmm.
deals all around the world. They don't have to worry about anything. AEW is just serving a niche audience instead of like producing the product that used to be. And so there's like we already know that we know the winning formula here. It's writing good stories and having good characters. It was never, like all this other politics that they've injected or these other things. And it was never just one way. There was never one formula. It's always choice. And the more choice it was, like the more things flourished, the more it like opened up the doors
Yeah.
stuff. And I just think that all those people aren't being served.
Yeah, and all these comic shops, that shop in particular is very much a comic shop. I've noticed their manga section growing, where like now they have one, they used to
Yeah.
not. And now, since they do have a manga section, up at the front, there's a section where it has like the top sold graphic novels for this month, and like the first 15 spots are all manga because now they hold manga. They sell that stuff, but the rest of the store is all comics. Like their DC section is huge. They have one wall is all Marvel new floppy comics, right? And they have got their graphic novels and stuff, Image and all this stuff. But all they would have to do, like, put some window space. Like they've had the same live wire cardboard standee in the window for probably over a year, and that book has been out for over a year, and no
Yeah.
one cares about Vita Ayala's live wire from Image Comics or whatever the
Yeah.
hell publisher that's from.
Well, that's the thing, though. This is, I mean, like I think that in like a lot of indie creators, like in your guys' positions here in CD and stuff, like
Finally,
you have the ability, I think, to especially something local like that, where hey, I can stock you. We can do a buyback. Like I can stock it. I will preview all the promotional stuff. Just like give me shelf space and see if we can move some units here.
right. No, that would be awesome. Yeah, even like my brother's an awesome designer, and he does a lot of graphic design. He could make a little counter standee that has one of my characters on it, telling
Hmm.
the people that are cashing out to check this book out. It's like flip through this.
Can I
So
tell you that something would be really dope for like maybe like as a giveaway thing on a campaign if we hit a certain stretch goal,
yeah,
one of those life-size cardboard cutouts of a character. That would be.
yeah, we could totally make those. It would just be it would take some work on our end, but I mean that's what we
I'm
do.
just saying, just like one, like one giveaway, like the.
Yeah, no. So that's something my brother and I wanted to do early on for our retailer tiers. So for the first 3 campaigns we did, we've had retailer tiers, and we usually sell one or two of them. and it's very interesting. It's on average we sell them after we start fulfilling the comic. So when the book's still in demand, we've got like 1 or 2 sales on retailer packs, which are like 10 books in one bundle, you know. So we usually put a big poster in for that because
Okay.
for like a comic shop, and it's a special exclusive retailer poster. And we wanted to do standees because I think that would be awesome. You know, you get like one of the characters, and we could totally do that because the print shop that our company has, we can make stickers, and all you do is just cut out the cardboard and stick it on to poster board.
Yeah.
That would be super easy to do. Just take a little bit of work.
I mean, there's just something more like cool '90s promotional than this cardboard stand out there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was like a thing in people's houses forever. Like, let me get that standee from the
I agree. I mean,
media shop.
especially with like wrestling, right? I remember going to CD stores, you know, like any of the old record or CD stores back in the day. You'd have like Stone Cold Steve Austin
Yeah.
standing, and they'd sell it there, you know.
Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, way back in the. I miss a lot of stuff. I'm into and certain kinds of artwork. Like I like some art brute stuff, but some of the more like sophisticated artwork I like is really advertisement artwork. I think it's like underrated. I think people don't see all of like the actual how much work it is to make something that is
Sure.
like timeless and
Hmm.
stuff. And so like so I love promotional stuff. I love looking at like especially like for like alcohol companies and stuff. So many like mirrors, posters, like cutouts, like neon lights and stuff that are designed. That is that is some of my favorite stuff. I'd like to see some of that stuff like come back a little bit more. I did see that neons they've upped the game a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like that this country has abandoned a lot of things that were fun, like Trapper Keepers.
Yeah, Trapper Keepers.
Yeah, you remember Trapper Keepers? They were dope. Like now you have to buy your kid like I have kids, and you have to buy them
Yeah,
like 15, 20 folders for school. I could have just bought him one Trapper Keeper, you know, without all the
yeah,
paper.
I remember those.
I had a Simpsons one. Like that
Yeah,
was the thing. That was like you had. It was one of the cool things in back in the day. You had to have the right Trapper Keeper.
yeah,
But I also grew up in a time frame when Simpsons was the most shocking thing on television. Like when I was going to Catholic school, they wouldn't. Before, after South Park came out, you're allowed to wear Simpsons stuff, but before that, literally, we're not allowed to wear Simpsons sweatshirts to school.
that's crazy.
Uh, Too hot for TV. How far we've come.
Yeah, look at us now.
So let's go ahead. Right now, you are working. Your main project is the Lost Pages too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're working on right now. Set to fulfill in March, and just got some pages in today, and so I'm lettering it up right now. So I think we have, I want to say 12 pages left for the main book to get drawn, but I'm keeping up with letters, so just started those. Yeah, here it is. This is it.
Yes, let me go ahead and play the trailer for this.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
From Zaid Comics comes The Lost Pages 2. This time we follow the Silhouette, our ghostly avenger who brings justice to the streets of Chicago. Ever searching his haunted past while chasing a new supervillain, El Dorado.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I think I hit a button there, so I apologize for that.
No, you're good. Yeah, that super fun trailer.
Reload. That trailer is actually pretty dope, and you know what? That's something that's under. Oh, my browser just crashed. That's what happened. Anyways, super dope trailer though. I will play it again before we end everything and get all the way through it. I think that's one of the things that's underrated and doesn't happen as much in Comicsgate. That's something you guys deserve credit on is having a dope trailer. More people should put more work into them. I think.
Thanks, man. So yeah, that we always try to do fun trailers. Like The previous ones I did all the editing on, voiceover work, and the small amount of animation that were in some of them. But this one is actually animated by Doug Mankey, who is a longtime DC artist. Like
Yeah.
he took over Green Lantern after Ethan was off of it. He created The Mask, that
And
Jim
create the
Carrey
mask.
movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
pretty
one of my
dope.
favorite comics is The Mask, and not a lot of people know that it's actually a comic. So that's why it was made into a movie, because it was so crazy and popular at the time in the early 90s. But he was the original artist on The Mask. He's done Lobo stuff. He's worked with everyone, and Grant Morrison, stuff like that. And so I met him at a convention, met him at C2E2 right before the pandemic. I was a big fan of his, and I was showing him early Lost Pages stuff for the first book, and he dug it, and we kind of hit it off. I started, kind of having messaging conversations over Instagram with him, showing him work back and forth, and he was doing these really crazy cool animations on his Instagram just for fun.
Yeah,
And
just in his spare time.
yeah,
It's just like, here's. I love artists that are just so naturally talented that they do like weird flexes without trying to flex. You know what I mean? Just like, here's just what I'm doing in my part time.
yeah, it's crazy, and he has a lot of fun with it. So I asked him if he wanted to do a short trailer for the Silhouette, and he knocked it out. Had a blast. I edited it together, did the voiceover, and it was insane that we were able to do that. Dave, yeah, I thought the Mask comics were good too, way more adult than the movie. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, if you want to look at an ultra violent comic, the Mask is
Yeah.
like a Looney Tunes
Is that?
cartoon.
It's one of those ones that
Rated
you
R.
probably just can't believe that like they turned into. They made a kids cartoon out of it. Like they're like,
Yeah,
we should just option this into a kids cartoon.
yeah,
It's insane. I don't know like what goes like. Think about that. Like Hollywood executive, what properties can we turn into kids properties? I
yeah,
know The Mask.
yeah.
Like,
Ninja Turtles, the same thing. But those two properties, Ninja Turtles and the Mask, work great both ways. I think with the violence, and then to
tune it
because
down.
the Mask is just a Looney Tunes character. He could do whatever he wants.
I do love that. I would. You probably couldn't make a Looney Tunes today because like it would be too violent. The violence would be too much violence.
Yeah.
It's savage. Uh, what do you think? What do you think is your next move? Are you guys going to continue with these two properties that you've been working on, the Magic Cop and Lost Pages, or are you working on perhaps like a third property to introduce?
So we do have a lot of ideas for different properties in the future, but right now, since even though we're 4 campaigns in the grand scheme of things, we're only 4 campaigns in.
Yeah, you're just starting
You
it.
know, so we're just starting. So we would like to further solidify the stuff that we're doing with these comics. So the next campaign we're going to do, we could pull this off. It's kind of a secret campaign that we're working on. It's going to involve a lot of CG creators
Okay.
in one project that we really, really want to do. Having some meetings hopefully later this week about that. So if that works, while
Are
we're campaigning for that one, we're going to be working on the next Lost Pages book. So my brother and I actually sat down and had a really good talk about the villain for the next Lost
mhm.
Pages, and if we could lock in an artist for that one, I think it's going to be crazy cool. It'll be probably the same amount of pages as this one, which is 76 pages. It's a pretty good amount of story, and we're going to flow on through the Lost Pages for that. But yeah, we have lots of plans for other ideas in the future. Just want to kind of set up all these characters. As you can see here, what we're doing with the Silhouette is focusing in on his story and fleshing out his character, because in the
Mm.
first book you got four stories following 4 different characters. So now we want to focus in on some of these guys. There's Crimstone, our crazy 90s.
Yeah.
Jack.
And then you said, I heard you talk on another stream that you said before that these tattoos are not like set in stone, that they're like motion, they change up.
Yeah, so since he's an imaginary friend, the tattoos change on his mood or what he's doing to describe actions. Sometimes I use them as like sound effects because there's letters in there. They spell out words sometimes. And that was kind of out of the fact that I didn't want to kill my artists into remembering what these tattoos looked like in every panel, you know?
Oh, and then having to think about like all the angles of where
Exactly. So they could make them look like whatever they really want to look like, you know, sticking. We really like this theme of the kind of like graffiti arrows, you know, because the character is set in the urban environment. You know, the female counterpart to Krim, as you scroll down, you'll see her. She's kind of like this motorcycle babe. She's a weightlifter, and she does graffiti too. So she's in that graffiti lifestyle. And there he is again. So yeah, all that stuff, that colored imagery takes place at the start of the story and at the end of the story. And then in between is our narrator character, the hobo, who's in the next image there, telling the story of the silhouette, which then all the color gets, you know, desaturated out of there, and it's in black and white for the silhouette story. Because I really wanted to give the art style as if you're seeing this world, which is the same world in these stories, but through the eyes of a specific character. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very dope. This is pretty interesting villain you have here, sir.
Thanks, man. Yeah, El Dorado. He is. I was just working on his bio for the trading card that people are going to be getting with this one. So yeah, El Dorado is ex-military. He's thrown out of the military for basically making people in the Middle East hunt for gold for him. You know, kind of
Okay.
rounding up this.
Like We the Kings kind of thing.
Yeah. So he's obsessed with gold. Thrown out of the military. When he comes back to the city, to the States, he starts a little gang, you know, and has his henchmen. And now he's seeking this ancient gold, which he gets his hands on, and it gives him these crazy powers, and it makes him mad with power. Yeah, it's a fun character.
And then we have, this is a supplementary book that you guys are doing, The People.
Yeah, that's an ash can. It's going to be like your traditional. I really wanted to do like a throwback to the 90s ash can, where it's going to be ash can size, black and white, but the cover is going to be printed on red paper, so it's going to be really striking. And this is about our supplemental character, the People, who we really wanted to kind of mirror the silhouette with this character. So the silhouette, he's a vigilante. He's got these crazy powers. You know, he doesn't even need to breathe or eat, you know, because he's a shadow man. But the People is full-blooded human American who is a courtroom sketch artist by day. And so he sits in on those big high-profile cases. And if those criminals kind of bribe their way out of jail and out of court, then by night he goes and hunts them down as this badass crime fighter.
Nice. The links to all this stuff for the Diaz brothers, so especially, are all in the description. So you can find the link to both Magikarp, Indiegogo, and the last page's Indiegogo down there in the description, as well as the link to the Zaid Comics website that exists.
Yeah, we're going to be updating that after the new year, and we're actually going to be taking down Magikarp 2 soon. So if you guys haven't grabbed that, definitely do so, because after that goes down off Indiegogo, we'll be putting it up on the website for sale. Yeah, so this is a lot of content. We love this universe we're building, and we can't wait to bring more stories out. This is going to be a lot of fun. That ash can specifically with the People, very much a more of a crime investigation story. He's trying to hunt down a serial killer who's in the city, and it's 20 pages, but it's actually the first part in a 3-part series that will conclude that kind of story arc. So, as you know, the main book is fully told. It has a definitive ending, but this Ashcan will have more stories to that one. Yo, what's up? Good stuff.
It's coming for that wrestling belt.
We'll see.
We'll see. So this is Magic Cop 2. This is the other project that's up, and in this, I believe you can get a copy of Magic Cop 1 if you haven't.
Yeah, you could. We have a tier where it comes with Magic Cop 1 and 2 with a crazy cool Kelsey Shannon reprint cover for the first book. And yeah, we have a lot on here. And this stuff, keep in mind, ships out immediately. So if you guys order anything from Magic Cop 2, that campaign, we'll get that order in, and the books will be on their way. In fact, we just, at the beginning of this week, Monday, what day is today? Tuesday? Yeah, I guess yesterday.
Today is Tuesday.
We shipped out a Magic Cop 2 Ashcan. So that was in the mail. We shipped that out. So this is very quick turnaround time, which is really, really cool. Whereas the Lost Pages is going to be fulfilling in March.
Look at that Magic Cup. Is that Magic Cup available on its own?
By itself, we should actually make that available. It's not. So there's a Magic Cup tier, but what you could do is if you haven't grabbed the comic or the Ashcan or anything, any of these perks, you could grab it and then add on the cup. So
there we go.
It's in the add-on section. Yeah.
There we go. Because that's pretty dope cup. I think that you're the only CG creators with the cup.
Yeah, we got it right here. We have a lot of them, so they're still available, but I think they're only $10 for the cup. So if you haven't grabbed the book, all you'd have to do is just grab that and then add on the cup. So yeah, they're awesome. 32 ounces, holds a lot of liquid.
So we'll play the trailer for this real quick too, so that people can get an idea of the product.
Awesome. I haven't seen this trailer in a while.
Hey everyone, this is Brandon
And Phil from Zaid Comics.
and we're back with our new sequel, Magic Cop 2.
So sit back and watch this trailer right now. Magic Cop is everything you love about Halloween, smashed with everything you love about the 1980s. And in Magic Cop 2, all of our favorite detectives are back. Grey Wolf, the old-timer, Helly, the sexy witch, O'Hara, the half-leprechaun, half-giant, and Iggy, the magic cop. This time, there's a new drug on the streets of Ambrosia. This special strain of pixie dust is giving its abusers magical powers, and it's up to the team to find out who's concocting it before the whole city runs mad with magic. But that's not all. Whoever's behind this has painted a target on the backs of the police, leading into a run-in with the city's most wanted contract killer, the Headless Hitman. This book's got a whole lot of action, a whole lot of 80s, and of course, fast cars, hot beach babes, and even hotter crime. The only detective with the spells to stop it is Magic Cop.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
And remember, we can't do it without your help.
So hop on board. Let's go make some comics.
Oh, we got the Jones.
Now with more Magic Cop.
Oh, there we go.
That was awesome. That was so fun to do.
How much planning did it take for you guys to put that together?
Well, it was a day. The intro and outro for that trailer, it was just so fun. So we originally, the plan was to get on a yacht, because we met this guy, a buddy of ours now, at this car event, and he's part of the Chicago Yacht Club. So we're like, hey man, get on a yacht, And it was the end of October of last year, And so it was, people were already putting their yachts away, and we just weren't able to get on one. It was pretty cold out that day too. We were in Chicago. But the cool thing about Chicago is it's right on the lake, Lake Michigan, and there's a ton of lakefront areas you could go. Chicago's actually, I'm pretty sure it's the city with the most beachfronts in America, just because there's so much lake. We have so many different beaches. So we got kicked out of one yacht area because we weren't supposed to be filming over there.
Okay.
So he was part of another yacht club.
Another, he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I got a backup yacht club.
Yeah. So we went over to that one, and for the intro, just stood by like the boat areas, and then we were luckily able to get right up near the water with my brother's car, because there's like a driveway that you'd pull up your trailer to put your boat on, like if
Yeah.
you're gonna winch it back out. So, but the main thing we wanted is that last shot with his drone, because my buddy has a really cool drone with a camera on it. So that's how we did that. It's really fun.
That's awesome. I always wonder because like things like that always have an interesting story. Like they typically don't go smooth. Here's a question: out of your properties between Magic Cop and Lost Pages, if you had to pick one, which one would you make into a pinball machine?
Oh man, a pinball machine? Oh,
Yeah.
Magic Cop. Magic Cop would be definitely a better pinball machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much you could do with that. That would be so fun. Could be awesome.
Which one would you turn into a computer game or like possibly, like something on Steam?
I think Magic Cop as well, because I don't know if you knew this, but Magic Cop, the idea came from an idea we had for an arcade game, a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Okay.
So, like Bad Dudes or the Ninja Turtles arcade games, that's how we laid out the structure for the universe. It has 4 main characters that were basically the 4 playable characters that you play in the game. All the bad guys that you see in the first 2 books at one point were going to be bosses that you'd fight in the game. The different henchmen and scenes and stuff. And even now, for our next story, if we need a new villain, I have a backlog of villains that have write-ups for the document sheet for the game. So that's what we're doing. Brandon and I are planning the 3rd book, and we know who the villains are going to be and stuff based around the stages of that game. So yeah, that's how it was gonna be, but it turned into the comic.
Well, okay. So now that you've had like success in crowdfunding and you're on your 4th property and stuff, and you've seen like that you have traction with it and stuff, is there anything, because you have some of the stuff pre-written out, is there anything that you're like excited for, like anything that you can't wait to get to, but might take a little while to get to?
Yeah, man, there's a lot, like just inside, not even getting to outside the 2 properties, but for the Lost Pages, now that we're kind of doing these stories as books that are focusing on each character, I already have the plots for the books that we're going to be doing for each character. And the Masquerade, who is one of my favorite characters from the Lost Pages, he's this kind of pulpy, sort of like the Shadow or the Phantom, very much a pulp character. And with hanging out with Shanthan Jetty, he's doing that really cool Nosferatu painted book.
Yeah.
He's really taken a liking to the Masquerade character and just the potential that hero has. I can't wait to get to that. I have that story very much plotted out, and I can't wait to work with Alan more on it, who is the illustrator, because it's so fun and so different from anything that's happening in comics here right now. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Is the interior cover for the Masquerade story. He's got a hot lounge singer girlfriend, and in this one he's fighting the mob, but it's a total throwback to those 1930s pulp stories golden age stuff. And it's just, I just love the art, love working with Alan on this. So that's something from the Lost Pages that I can't wait for. And I kind of wish we were doing that next, but I have a whole flow of how the series is mapped out. But something I haven't really talked about or went into detail on is there's a cyberpunk story and world that I'm developing that I'm really excited about. You know, that's going to be lots of fun. It may have some tie-ins to other IPs, but something that's just very different than anything we're doing right now. It would be this kind of like cyberpunk babe comic.
Yeah. So do you have like a plan for like the next 5 years, like on where you think that you'll, if everything goes to plan, like do you think you'd like to be at like a end spot maybe, or an idea of like how many books you'd like to have out?
I never really mapped it out that far. The only thing, I don't project myself out in yearly time. I kind of project Zaid Comics out in the books that we're planning on doing, right? Like I know that the Lost Pages is going to have 5 books until we get to like a big event where these characters meet each other and like team up. So I know the plots for those 5 books, which includes the first and second one. And that's something that I really want to focus on, because once we get there, then I think at that point we'll be able to start branching out to new IPs, because Lost Pages will be something that's kind of like solidified in backers' minds. And then I know we have the idea for the next Magic Cop, and I'm working on some smaller ash cans to introduce those new IPs in the future.
Okay.
Specifically on a time-wise with 5 years, I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, because I know that you kind of like you're gaining steam, right? So as you go through these projects, you probably become a little more efficient. So you know what I mean? Like you're better at presenting, you have better timelines,
Sure.
You have better connections, relationships with artists and stuff. I mean, a lot of things, become a little bit easier. So I didn't, I guess my question was more like, if with all of things and the success that you've had thus far, greasing the wheel and stuff, if everything continues in that motion, where I guess where those properties would end up, or where we'd see in like 5 years from now, like Zaid Comics has all the Lost Pages out, maybe continuations of some Magic Cop. Is there any like end point with Magic Cop?
I don't think so. I think Magic Cop is very much, the books are self-contained stories, right? And they're big. They're 92-page stories, basically 4 issues of a comic that tell a full like episode of a TV show, basically. And I think that works for the IP. Every book you're going up against a different crime. They're solving it. So you can keep going like that if you have ideas. There's actually spin-offs of Magic Cop we'd like to do in the future within the same universe, because I think that universe is really rich for mining different ideas. There is, however, for the Lost Pages, there's kind of a story that we came up with a long time ago that would be like the end of the universe.
End of the series? Oh.
Yeah, well, it would be like an apocalyptic ending that we may show in like, it would be like, oh, someone's looking into the future and then sees this ending, and so that would be how the universe ends, with a lot of the cool characters we've introduced. But I'm not sure if, you ask different creators, and a lot of creators are like, oh yeah, there's a time where stories need to end, and maybe that's a reason why you see these companies suffering because they don't end their stories, they just keep going and going. And you look at manga or anime, a lot of them are self-contained and they do have endings, but other ones like I think like One Piece has like 80 seasons, right, or something like that, and all these Dragon Ball books, they just keep going
Yeah.
and going. But who knows? That's a long ways away from.
I do know that's I guess I guess that was just the part I was trying to get to because I know some people or a more clear question would have been is there an end point for these story arcs? But I
Right.
like that. I like the fact that you can keep going with it. I actually prefer that. I think that there is some like ingenious stuff to the fact that there are some like comic strips and certain comics and stuff that like a Calvin Hobbes keeps going or Archie comics like where the ability to like can write stories over and over again like procedurally like that is like I think it's an undervalued talent and it also shows like how good and flexible and how like involved like people get into the characters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I think it's from person to person and creator to creator. I think if there's an audience for it, then why not put that stuff out there?
There's gonna be a Magic Cup 2 when we come to Magic Cup 3.
I'm not sure. I don't know if we'll do another cup. We'll probably put the cups on our website for purchase, but who knows? Maybe we'll put these up for the people that haven't grabbed them yet on number 3.
We should do like a silhouette coffee mug, like one of the heat ones, so like it's like blank. Then you put the hot coffee in there, and the
Yeah,
silhouette
dude, that would
appears
be
on the side of
awesome.
it.
Yeah, it changes with that. That'd be so cool.
Uh, I don't know, maybe slap bracelets too. I feel like Magic Cop
Dude,
slap bracelets would be
since we
amazing.
came out with Magic Hop, the first one, everybody's been saying that slap bracelets. We have looked into doing sunglasses like yours
Mhm.
that have, that we could customize with a color and a logo. I think that would be something really cool if the campaigns ever get like really crazy and something that's like a stretch goal to give everybody. That would be awesome.
Yeah, these are Blockbuster. They're from the last Blockbuster in the United States. I drove
Yeah,
over to I live in Spokane, Washington. I drove the 6 hours to Bend, Oregon, and check that spot out.
that's awesome.
It's amazing. It's a lost thing. Like I'm so mad. Everybody's like, "Oh, Netflix is going to be so great," and "Oh, Redbox, right?" Well, Redbox killed the video store, and now you can't rent the movies you want to rent when they come out. It used to be if a movie came out, everybody was able to see it within the first week because there was video stores and there's literally like 100 copies on the wall, and you'd rent it for 2 nights and it'd be back at the store. Now now it's like it might be released on Disney, it might be released on Hulu, it might be released on HBO.
Well, here's the thing too. I remember it felt like this to me, but if you didn't go see the movie in the theater, you'd have to wait a long time for
Yeah.
it to come to video, you know? And then it was like, I don't know if that was specifically for the anticipation for it, where it would build up and then you'd want to go buy it or want to go rent it, you know?
Okay, you can't speak for me. See, I don't know. I don't know. I love Blockbuster because like you were able to get your stuff, and I also like the randomness factor. Like, it's another thing that like took away like a freed, just I don't know, like a discovery, I guess, because it had that movie pass during the summer, all you
Mm-hmm.
can rent, right? You like rent one at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
I would use that all summer long. I'd just be back in there, in and out of there.
yeah,
I mean, and then you just get to a certain point after you watched all the popular movies that you're just like walking down the aisle, like, what is this?
yeah,
You find some of the greatest. You still to find some of the greatest movies that way.
for sure.
Well, sir, I have really enjoyed our time tonight,
Yeah,
and I appreciate you coming on. You have two great projects. These things can be found in the description for everyone honest that's watching. But I think that we should wrap it up here. Is there anything that anybody should know other than Magic Cop 2? Better grab it now before it's coming down.
that's right. Another thing is for the Lost pages too. We've gotten some backers in the last couple of days, which is awesome. Thank you guys for the support. If you haven't yet, you could still grab the book and the first book as well. So we're doing a reprint for the first Lost Pages with a new cover. But if you like that Simon Bisley cover and you haven't gotten your hands on it, you could grab the first printing tier, which comes with this. It comes with everything basically that was on the first campaign. This, which is the supplemental book for the first campaign, which has extra stories in it for 9 extra short stories with an awesome wraparound cover by Joe Ball. Those are all the characters. Beautiful. And then what we're doing here is for basically the final stretch goal, the biggest stretch goal of the campaign. If we get to 30K, then all the main books are upgraded with gold foil on the cover, gold foil spotting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's going to be really big if we can get there to 30K. Just a few $1,000 away, a few more backers. So spread the word, help out getting this project, that sparkly cover to go with that golden theme. And then check out our YouTube channel, Zaid Comics. We're just past 900 subs, so on our way to 1,000.
There we go. 1,000. That's not. That's only 100 more. That's not too much of an effort, I think.
I know. Yeah.
These gentlemen have been putting out like some hard work for a good amount of time, building a platform, and I think we're doing some really important work, building that middle ground for those middle ground creators, starting to build a little bit of a shelf so that we can start working our way to higher and higher plateaus in the crowdfunding. So doing some important work, sir. I appreciate you and your properties and coming on. And with that, I'm going to play 216A, which is another person that could use a little bit of love on his sub channel. And like, share, subscribe. All the description, everything for both myself, for Zaid Comics, and for 216A are all in the description. Thank you everyone for coming out. You have a good evening.
See ya.
Stevie on the beat was good.
Trashy, nasty. I'm trashy, nasty, make you really wanna blast me. I'm laughing all the way to the bank, and I could give a fuck what you think. Yeah, we deeper than a motherfucking shank, lil homie. I'm trashy, nasty, make you really wanna blast me. I'm laughing all the way to the bank, and I could give a fuck what you think. Yeah, we deeper than a motherfucking shank, lil homie. I came a long way from what I once was. Introverted, killing every crowd that I'm in front of. Hungry like a lost soul on the wrong bus. All I know, I gotta fill the void till my lungs bust. I wallow in the pain, cause my city is a stain, and I lose another human every day. Yo, I don't mean to be rude, but my compassion is astray. I don't wanna kiss and cuddle, I'ma smash it in her face. State of mind is off.
Fucking it up. Just trying to do this smoothly, but we'll do this the rough way.
Yeah, thank you so much. That'd be awesome.
Oh, this is try this again.
Oh, the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could drag the.
There we go.
From Zaid Comics comes The Lost Pages 2.
You can't make it bigger if you have it F11 at the top.
This time we follow the silhouette, our ghostly avenger who brings justice to the streets of Chicago. Ever searching his haunted past while chasing a new supervillain, El Dorado. The golden menace whose powers rival the city's avenger. But the minds of the scum and the souls of the vile know nothing of the darkness shrouded within the silhouette. Only on Indiegogo.